Hey guys, welcome back to Based MMA. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down UFC 292 that takes place this Saturday in Boston, guys. And wow, this card has just taken a hit in the last couple of weeks, man, because we lost Jeff Neal versus Ian Gary. Magny is now going to step up to fight Ian Gary on this card. We lost Cody Garbrandt. I mean, this card was super stacked when it was initially announced. I mean, they announced Rothman versus Song Yudong. I think Song Yudong was suffering from an injury, and then Rothman was moved to fight Corey Sandhagen. That happened a couple weeks ago. And then we lost Henry Cejudo as well, who was supposed to fight Marlon Vera. Pedro Munoz was able to step in. So yeah, guys, I just think overall this card has taken a hit where originally I think this card was like a 9 out of 10, probably one of the better cards of the year. Now I think the card is probably like a 6.5, maybe a 7. I think it all depends on the night, right? Like if these fights turn out to be just absolute bangers, I think the card is going to be remembered a lot better. But right now the card isn't looking that great, and I could see a lot of these fights going into a decision or not being as competitive as we would like, maybe like a first round knockout, because that's the thing with UFC 291. Even though I did enjoy that card, I felt like there was a lot of like first rounds, and I kind of want to see a little bit more wars. And that's why I did enjoy UFC 290, because we had the Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner fight. We had the Brandon Moreno versus Alexander Pantoja fight, which was a war. So yeah, I mean, I hope this card has bangers. But I still think there's a lot of solid fights on the card, and there's a lot of matchups that I'm very excited for. I'm super excited for the main event and the co-main event. So that alone, I mean, makes the card worth it for me. So let's take a look at this card, guys. And I'm gonna start with the main card first, and then I'll go down and just give you guys my picks, not like a full in-depth breakdown. I mean, I could actually just start off the prelims. I think I'm gonna go with the underdog here. I'm gonna go with Moros. I'm gonna go with Natalia Silva. She should be a lock. For this one, I'm gonna go with Andre Petroski for this fight. I know they're gonna announce the tough winner, and they're gonna announce that matchup. For this one, I'm gonna go with Austin Hubbard, and I think Dennis Tulin is a good underdog here, but I think I'm gonna go with Gregory Rodriguez to get this done, even though he is coming off a KO loss. Chris Weidman versus Brad Tavares. I'm gonna go Brad Tavares by decision. So now I'm gonna go in depth more for the main card. Marlon Vera versus Pedro Munoz, guys. I think this is a very interesting matchup. I think when it got announced, to be honest, I was a little bit nervous, and I flip-flop back and forth with this matchup. I actually did record my predictions for this card like a couple days ago, guys, but I did not feel satisfied. I feel like I still need to go back and watch the fights a little bit, do a little bit more research to really be confident in my picks, because I kind of felt like I was misremembering stuff, and you know what I'm saying, like there is a lot of fighters on this card, so I wanted to go back, and I just think we did overhype Marlon Vera a bit too much. I'm a fan of the guy. I think the guy's an excellent fighter, but I don't think he's top bantamweight caliber level. Like, I know he's been getting really good KO wins over guys like Dominic Cruz. He didn't KO Rothman. That went to a decision, but he was dropping Rothman a lot in that fight. And obviously his KO over Frankie Edgar. But the thing with Marlon Vera is that he has very low output. Most of these fights he's losing up until he KOs them. He's KOing veterans. Like, he's KOing guys like Dominic Cruz, Frankie Edgar. Like, we saw what happened to Frankie Edgar against Chris Gutierrez. We saw what happened to I mean, Dominic Cruz has been killed before. It's not like he's never been killed. He got killed by Henry Cejudo, you know what I'm saying? Even though that was kind of an early stoppage. But what I'm saying is that Marlon Vera isn't KOing like top 5 fighters. Like, he's not doing this to Song Yudong. I mean, he got outstruck by Jose Aldo. Both these guys, both Marlon Vera and Pedro Munoz, have lost to Jose Aldo. So I think Marlon Vera is always going to be one of those guys that's maybe like in the 5 to 10, 10 to 15 kind of fighter. I don't really think he has championship level potential as we initially thought, especially after that Corey Sandhagen, guys, because Corey Sandhagen just shut him down everywhere. The grappling was too much, the striking, and Marlon Vera, if you're not an old veteran and a guy that's kind of chinny, he's not gonna finish you, you know what I'm saying? And Pedro Munoz is a guy that doesn't get finished. Look at this guy's track record. This guy's not getting finished. So Pedro Munoz is as tough as anybody. And I wouldn't, even though Pedro Munoz has fought for quite a while, I wouldn't really consider him a vet. Like, I feel like he's somewhere in the middle where he's not like a rising contender, but he's also not like an old washed veteran. Pedro Munoz is still a very good fighter. I mean, he's coming off his win against Chris Gutierrez, where that was a pretty good fight. He dropped Chris Gutierrez in the first round, and Pedro Munoz throws really good kicks. The guy's very durable. Also, kind of a like low output, I would say. Not as low output as Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera definitely has the power advantage, but I just think when I was thinking about this fight, I wanted to pick Marlon Vera, but I just can't pick him in this fight unless I can't bank on Marlon Vera just changing his style. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's most likely gonna lose the first round. And I don't really see Pedro Munoz finishing Marlon Vera, and I don't see Marlon Vera finishing Pedro Munoz. So right there, Pedro Munoz already has an advantage. And I think if this fight goes to the scorecards, I just see Pedro Munoz taking it either by like a split decision or just a unanimous decision where a 29-28 Pedro Munoz guy. So I'm going to go 29-28 Pedro Munoz to win this fight. I just think that Marlon Vera's low output, the fact that, he got exposed in his last fight against Corey Sandhagen. And I just think this is kind of a weird matchup for Marlon Vera. Like, I just think Pedro Munoz can get it done. I just don't see. I mean, I could see maybe Marlon Vera getting a decision. I think this fight is gonna go to decision. So if you're betting any money, I would bet on the over 2.5 rounds. I mean, that's kind of a bad line. Like maybe it was over 1.5 round, I would bet on it. But I think this fight's gonna go to a decision, and I'm leaning Pedro Munoz. I think he's just gonna have a lot more output. I don't think he's gonna drop Marlon Vera, but I think that he's gonna outstrike him a little bit. I still think it's gonna be close on the feet. I think Marlon Vera is gonna take something from the last Corey Sandhagen and maybe try to switch his style. But I still think that, I still think he's gonna fall into kind of his old habits here. So I'm gonna go Pedro Munoz by decision, which kind of is sad to say, but I think Pedro Munoz is gonna win this fight by decision. Cody Garbrandt versus Mario Batista. We know Cody Garbrandt is off the card. We'll see if they get a replacement for Mario Batista, but so far we don't know anything about that. Now moving on to Neil Magny versus Ian Machado Gary. I hope I'm saying that right and I'm not butchering his. Is that his middle name? I'm gonna guess that's his middle name. Neil Magny versus Ian Gary, guys, and man, this matchup is just not as good as the Jeff Neal versus Ian Gary fight that we were supposed to get, man. The Jeff Neal matchup was just going to be a lot more interesting because Jeff Neal has a lot of power. Ian Gary's a rising contender. He looked incredible against Daniel Rodriguez, where he was able to land that head kick and just finish Daniel Rodriguez. And Jeff Neal had, I wouldn't say a competitive fight against Shavkat, but definitely a good fight where he didn't look that bad. I mean, he was coming a little bit over the welterweight weight limit. He missed weight, so that I think that kind of helped Jeff Neal when it came to that Shavkat matchup. But there was always a chance that Jeff Neal could catch Ian Gary and knock him out and expose him. Like that was a very real possibility. But honestly, guys, even with the initial matchup, I was leaning Ian Gary. I thought that Ian Gary was gonna be good enough to outstrike Jeff Neal and hurt him. And Jeff Neal is coming off that bad finish, over getting badly finished over Shavkat, where he went to war with Shavkat. So I was kind of picking Ian Gary in that matchup, but it was just way more exciting than someone like Neil Magny, guys. Neil Magny is boring as it is. He's coming over a split decision over a fight that was super boring, super lackluster. Neil Magny is just one of those fighters that is a gatekeeper, you know what I'm saying? He wins one, loses two, wins a couple, you know what I'm saying? But this guy's not, he's not a real test in my opinion for Ian Gary. Even though Ian Gary is fighting the opponent he initially called out after his win over D-Rod, I just think Neil Magny, he can make this a boring fight and maybe win that way, but I don't really see any path for Neil Magny. I mean, he's not a better striker than Ian Gary. I don't think he's strong enough to take down Ian Gary and control him, so I don't really see him winning. Maybe him clinching up against the gauge is a way that Neil Magny can win, guys, but I think Ian Gary is just way too good on the feet, way too fast. Incredible kickboxer. So I just think I'm gonna go here with Ian Gary by TKO. I don't think Neil Magny is gonna survive. I don't know. I just think this is a mismatch, and I think Ian Gary is gonna get this one done. I'm pretty confident in that pick. I mean, I think mostly everyone is pretty confident in the pick. The odds must be crazy for this fight, with Ian Gary being a huge favorite. Now for the co-main event of the evening. Yongwei Lee versus Amanda Lemos, guys. This is an incredible fight, and I think this is going to be the fight of the night. I think this is going to be fight of the night because I really think this is going to be a war. But I do not see this going fight to a decision. If it does end up going to a decision, I would lean heavily on Yang Weili because I just think cardio-wise, Yang Weili has way more cardio than Amanda Lemos. We've seen Amanda Lemos gas out in 3-round fights and stuff like that. And like I said, this is kind of a matchup over like Amanda Lemos, big power puncher. Yang Weili is definitely the more well-rounded fighter with better wrestling, in my opinion, more technical on the feet, is able to mix it up a lot better than Amanda Lemos. But Amanda Lemos hits incredibly hard, guys, for this division, and definitely has the potential to knock out Yang Weili. So if Yang Weili goes out there and tries to scrap with Amanda Lemos punch for punch, there's a good chance that Amanda Lemos will knock her out. But I trust in Yang Weili, guys, because I went back to watch her previous fights, her Carla Esparza win, her fight against Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the rematch, even the rematch with Rose Namajunas, and I just think Yang Weili has just become a very well-rounded fighter, a very smart fighter, is able to grapple, control these girls on the ground, submit them, kill them on the feet. I mean, we saw that spinning, I think it was a spinning back fist to Joanna Jędrzejczyk in the rematch, and then the submission over Carla Esparza in the second round where she was just lining her up on the feet and then was able to get that submission in the second round. And I just think Yang Weili is just a lot more well-rounded, a lot more cardio, very tough. But the thing that does concern me for this matchup, guys, is that Yang Weili does get hit. You know, she does get hit, and if she's getting hit a lot by somebody like Amanda Lemos, it might be over because Amanda Lemos really packs a punch. But I just see Yang Weili kind of mixing it up here. I see her striking for a little bit, taking Amanda Lemos down, controlling her. The round starts again. They strike a little bit. Yang Weili kind of hurts her a little bit, takes her down, lands some ground and pound shots, try to go for a submission. You know what I'm saying? I see that kind of fight. So I'm going to go here with Yang Weili by a third round submission. I think Yang Weili is going to be able to take her down, kind of tire her out, and start landing better shots on the feet and eventually take her down and just submit Amanda Lemos. I mean, we saw Amanda Lemos get submitted by Jessica Andrade. I know that was kind of an early submission in the first round, so we really didn't see that fight, you know, go the distance and really see Amanda Lemos get tested, you know what I'm saying? But Amanda Lemos is coming off wins over Marina Rodriguez, where she was able to get a third round, I believe, like a third round TKO, and then she's coming off her win against Michelle Waterson. So she hasn't had like the best resume, in my opinion. She hasn't been beating like these top strawweights, you know what I'm saying? Like, she hasn't fought a Rose. She got submitted by Jessica Andrade. We've seen what girls have done to Jessica Andrade. I mean, Jessica Andrade is coming off her loss to Tatiana Suarez. So I just think Yang Weili is going to be a little bit too much with her. I mean, Amanda Lemos is also older in her career. I just think Yang Weili is the more experienced fighter, the more tested fighter, the tougher fighter. And I think Yang Weili is pretty much better everywhere except for the power. I think Amanda Lemos obviously has more power here. So I'm going to go Yang Weili to win this fight by third round TKO or a submission. But I think I'm going to go third round submission, guys. Now for the main event of the evening, guys. And I've been going back and forth on this fight. I know a lot of people are confident on Aljamain Sterling to get this fight, guys, but I am worried, guys. I am worried for Aljamain Sterling, and I'm gonna be honest, this is the first time that I'm picking Aljamain Sterling to win in quite a while. If you go back and watch my videos, if you go back to watch the video I just posted last week about Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley, this matchup in general, I just kind of admitted that I just can't keep picking against Aljamain Sterling. I picked against Aljamain Sterling against Henry Cejudo. I thought Henry Cejudo was just going to be a lot better on the feet. I didn't think the size was going to give him as much trouble as it ended up giving him. I thought that, who's the guy he fought? I thought TJ Dillashaw. I thought TJ Dillashaw was going to win. Obviously, I didn't know he was coming in an injury. I thought Peter Young was going to win in the rematch. So I've been picking against Aljamain Sterling in these matchups. And I think when it comes to this fight, I think Aljamain Sterling is just a more experienced guy. Like, you just look at his resume, and he's been beating guys like Peter Yan, TJ Dillashaw, Henry Cejudo. I think his best win is his submission over Corey Sandhagen in the first round. I mean, that win has aged incredibly well. And Aljamain Sterling, he might not be the most dominant champion or anything like that, but he knows how to win. And his fights have been very close. I mean, he's been fighting top guys, so you really can't take any credit away from the guy. But, like, let's be real, like, some of his wins, I don't want to say fluky, but there, you know, there's some circumstances around it. And I just think that I think Sean O'Malley doesn't really have that experience. But the one thing I will say about Sean O'Malley, guys, is that what really impressed me about that Peter Yan fight is that he was able to rise up to the occasion. We know that Sean O'Malley prior to the Peter Yan fight, had been fighting guys that were not good, like guys like Chris Moutinho, Almeida, Paiva. Those guys are not even in the UFC anymore. And now, like, he's fighting Peter Yan, Aljamain Sterling, and something before his Peter Yan fight was that a lot of people were saying, oh, we don't know how tough Sean O'Malley is. Peter Yan's gonna destroy him, blah blah. You go back and watch my video. I did predict Sean O'Malley to win a decision, and I think Sean O'Malley's skills are a lot better than people think. It's just that he might not have the best resume. He hasn't been fighting the top guys, which might be a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because maybe he hasn't been through the wars. Maybe he's gonna be fresher coming into this matchup, and he definitely has the potential to outstrike Aljamain Sterling and knock him out. So I think if this fight's on the feet, I don't think it's gonna be like Sean O'Malley's gonna land one punch and knock out Aljamain Sterling, but I definitely think he could start to get the better of Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling could start to panic, and then Sean O'Malley catches him with like a knee, a straight left while switching stances, something like that. I could see where Aljamain kind of panic shoots or something. I could definitely see that happening, guys. But I just think Aljamain Sterling is gonna be too much. I just think he has the experience on his side. I just think that the guy, you know, he's at the prime of his career. He's 33 years old. He's beating these guys. He has a lot of momentum going for him. Even though this is a quick turnaround for Aljamain Sterling, I just think his grappling is gonna be too much for Sean O'Malley. I think the moment that Aljamain Sterling, you know, gets a body lock, takes him down, controls him, that's pretty much the round or the fight. That's how dangerous Aljamain Sterling is on the ground. But Sean O'Malley is a very live underdog in my opinion. Like I don't think this is a washout. I don't think Aljamain Sterling is just gonna destroy Sean O'Malley. I think Sean O'Malley can absolutely win this fight. And you know, I've been going back and forth because sometimes I feel like, man, I feel like Sean O'Malley's gonna get it done. Like, he has really good coaches. Tim Welch is an amazing coach. I know they're preparing for Aljamain Sterling. I know they've been thinking about these matchups. They knew that whether Henry Cejudo won or Aljamain Sterling, they were gonna fight a wrestler. So I'm pretty sure that in this time that Sean O'Malley hasn't been fighting, they've been preparing for a wrestler. So I think Sean O'Malley is going to have better grappling defense than we expect. And I think he could absolutely win this fight, guys. But I'm going to go here with Aljamain Sterling by submission. I think he's going to submit him in the second round. I just think that Sean O'Malley is going to survive the first round. You know, he's going to be a lot more hesitant on the feet. He's not going to be able to throw his kicks as confidently because he knows Aljamain Sterling can grab a kick, take him down. So I even think in the striking, Sean O'Malley is going to be a little bit limited because he's going to be scared of the takedown. So I'm going to go here with Aljamain Sterling. And still, I think he's going to get a second round submission or a ground and pound. I could also see that where he takes down Sean O'Malley, just landing ground and pound strikes, and then the ref comes and stops it. I could definitely see that happening. But I'm going to go with Aljamain Sterling to win this fight, guys. And yeah, those are my picks for UFC 292. Not the best of cards. I hope they do end up adding some fights to this card, guys. But that's just kind of my breakdown for UFC 292. Let me know down in the comments below who you think is going to win this fight. And I'll see you guys in the next one.